What's up everybody? Welcome back to another one. Today we're talking grub game. This is going to be geared more for beginners, but intermediate and advanced. Maybe you'll learn something, or if anything you could comment below anything I forgot or something you might like to add. This is all just my opinion and I'm not sponsored. I bought all this stuff with my own money. Here we go. Starting with rod or reel. I personally like a 9-foot to a 10-6, medium to medium heavy, something that could cast anywhere from 1/2 ounce to 1.5 ounces. You don't want something too stiff because you're not going to feel the fish. It's also not going to cast a smaller lead. The medium heavy for me works really well. You don't have to spend a lot of money. I've had the Daiwa AccuLite and that worked really well. It was a 9.0 medium. My favorite rod right now for whipping grubs is the SPX 10-6 and it's PE1 rated up to 1.5 ounces. When it comes to reels, I think the sweet spot is a 5,000. You can use 2,500 all the way up to 6,000, but I think the sweet spot is the 5,000. This is a Stratic. It's really light. It holds a lot of line. It's got good drag. It casts well. I've had this for 2 years. It's been submerged and it's taken a beating. I would say if you don't have the coin to get a Stratic, the next recommendation would be a Shimano Nasi. I would say the 4,000 to 5,000 range is going to be good. 6,000 to me is a little bit heavy and you want it to balance out on the rod that you're using. So I like to have something light that I can just use all day and not get sore or whatever. So can use a 6,000. I think 4,000 to 5,000 is going to be your best bet. Stratic, in my opinion. Again, not sponsored. I like to keep it simple. When I'm using grubs, this is what I bring. So inside this little pouch, some couple different pouches, I'll use this right here. It's a little Plano pack, and I recommend putting a hair tie or something around it because it does clip, but they'll fall. So on one side, I got all my leads. So for leads, I usually use 3/4. So this is a 3/4 one, 1.5 ounce. This is a sweet spot for me, the 1 ounce. Okay, so I have my leads on one side. On this side, I got some different hooks. BKN size 12 for small grubs, BKN size 14 for bigger. And then on this side, I got 16 and 18s, and then some swivels. Sometimes I'll also keep some red beads in there, but again, I recommend always put this around because you don't want this thing flying open. From there, let's talk about line. 10-pound for small fish. If I'm going for moi, I'll usually go 10 or 12-pound. My standard go-to though for Papillo is 20-pound. This is fluoro J-line, so I like J-line and Cigar Gold Label. From there, I usually have a lot of different grubs. These are 2.5-inch grubs. They're smaller body ones. This I would use a BKN size 12. This is Campania AMX Black, and this is a Charger. It's got a little bit of a thicker body, so for this one I would use a size 14 BKN. I got Serpents. For this one I would use a size 14 or 16 BKN. And then finally, this is Crazy Bone. Measures about 4 inches. For this I would use an 18 BKN. And here I also have my little scissors. That's all you need. Keep it simple. So I'm going to show you what knots I use. So first we're going to take our main line. This is 20-pound J braid. We're going to go through the egg lead. We're going to fold the line. The longer the tag in, the easier. I did about 6 inches here. We're going to go through one end of the swivel and we're just going to make a simple overhand knot. Once you make a knot, you're not going to pull it tight. You just created that loop. So now you're going to take your swivel through the loop. You're going to hold on, you're going to pull the tag and the main line. This is a polymer knot. It's really easy. It works really well. Okay, so now we have our egg going to our swivel. Now we're going to take our leader line. This is 20-pound fluoro. I go about 6 feet or an arm span. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to go through the other end of the swivel. You could use a polymer knot here, but for the sake of this video, I did a uni knot. This is just a different way to tie a uni. I kind of make a loop and I go around that loop 4 to 6 times, add a little bit of saliva, pull it tight. It's a nice knot. It's easy, but again, you could also just use a polymer here. As I go, I always cut my tag ends pretty close, and then I always throw away the excess line because you don't want to leave it. Now the snell knot, you want to go through the front of the hook, about 6-inch tag end. You're going to create a loop, hold that loop with your thumb. You're going to go up the shank 5 to 8 times. I kind of make sure not to overlap any of the loops. I also keep tension the whole time. Once I get 5 to 8, I think I did 8 loops here, I'm going to pinch it. Now I'm going to go through that loop. I'm going to hold the tag end, hold the hook, pull it tight. It's really important though that you go through the front and have the line going on the back of the shank, and I'll show you why. This is a great knot to learn. You can use it with small hooks all the way to big hooks if you're going for uluas or bigger fish. And it doesn't get snagged as much, and as you can see, when I add pressure, it hooks in the right direction, so it's going to help you hook up. The only time I wouldn't use it would be if you're using a bait holder hook because they have sharp edges on the shank. For that, I would use a uni or a polymer knot. When I'm hooking my grubs, I tend to thread it through like so. I feel like it's a good presentation and it just stays on a little better. I put the tag in through the hole as well. This is what it looks like. Another way you could do it, this way was made popular by WWJ, Whipping with Joe. So you eyeball it and then you figure out where you want that hook to go through. You want to make sure you're going through the center of the grub. This is a faster way, and it also gives a lot of action to the grub. You can do this with any grub and the serpents. I mix it up. I usually thread it though, but sometimes I do this. If you are using a bait holder hook like the 1/8/9s, I recommend threading it through because it has the 2 barbs going up the shank. It's going to keep it from getting pulled off. So it's a nice feature with the 1/8/9 hooks. I was hoping to go out and show you different retrievals or use some old videos, but I decided to just show you here as best I can. So normally when I go to a spot, the first thing I'll do, I'll cast out as far as I can, a fast retrieve. Not quite as fast as I can, but pretty fast. And I'll just kind of get that erratic moving. I'm doing this to see if there's any omilus or any papillos around or predator fish. A lot of times if they're around, they're going to attack whatever they see in the area. So I'll usually do 10 casts that way. From there, I'll cast out, let it sink a little bit. And now I'm just kind of just doing a little bit of a slower retrieve, right? Feels weird without having a whole rod. I'll do a few casts there. If nothing's biting that, the last thing I'll do, and a lot of times it's the most productive, cast out again, and I'll just let it hit the bottom. As soon as it hits the bottom, I'll bounce it off the bottom, and then I'll just go super slow. Just trying to feel for the bottom, trying to feel for fish, going really slow. I found that when you do that, even if the fish aren't biting, if you go past them, they're either going to get territorial and they'll bite it, or a lot of times you'll just catch them. If you're going for moi, you would also want to go very slow, working the bottom, and then usually you're going to want to loosen your drag because they do have softer mouths and you don't want the hook to rip out. Next week I'm going to be doing a giveaway to 3 lucky winners, and you're going to be stoked when you see what it is. If you guys want to add anything to how you guys fish your grubs, let me know. And thank you so much for watching. Till next time, take care, tight lines, and happy holidays.